Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special Inside Lowell Podcast, my Big Fat Lowell Podcast, coming here from the WellPoint Studios here in beautiful, historic downtown Lowell. I'm your host, Teddy Panos. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively. I need to turn that off. Offering health plans exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thank our friends at WellPoint for helping to make this special live show possible. I thank my special guest for coming on in here to help make this live show possible as well. Asa Stutz, my partner in crime in the podcast and my old radio wars.
Yes, I talked you into going live, so
You did.
hopefully this isn't a disaster.
You want to try
If it goes poorly, it's on me.
It already did. I left the audio up on my... I wanted to make sure that our conversations while the camera was on weren't leaking out. Instead, I made sure our show leaked out loudly.
It's a legit, real show, but it's a bit of a test show, right?
Yeah, who knows? We may, if this goes well, we may start doing more live podcasts. I'm certainly going to start to do more podcasts in general. I think the market out there demands it. I watched your Power Hour with Batch and your brother Han, and you excoriated the Lowell media. So I figured, well, geez, I better get on the ball and start.
I was yelling at you.
Start performing a little bit before Asa gets mad and tunes out Inside Lowell also.
Yeah, listen, there's a hole to be filled here, and it's pretty clear what's happened with the Lowell media, especially.
You think so?
You saw it coming, and then we just, for some reason, the election lined up perfectly with the demise of the two major media companies, media brands, the radio and the newspaper.
Yeah. I'm getting, I'm getting a little bit upset now. My Sunday morning entertainment has apparently been altered. I'm still enjoying reading Dick Howe's Substack.
Yep.
One of these days he might even acknowledge our existence.
Oh, has he never?
No, he tries to avoid it.
I tried on our power.
He's a big fan of citizen journalism, but he left out the part where these citizens must agree with him.
No.
He used to ignore the Sun.
That's true.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden their new editor came in and became a little bit more left of center, for lack of a better term. And
it's a good power move by him.
Yeah, hey.
He tried on the podcast. I tried playing footsie with him and nothing.
His Substack is great. I'd love to feature it more, see if we can get it out there to a wider audience. He does a lot of great political history in there, so I read that every Sunday morning. And I still do read the column, though. Jim Campanini was sitting in that chair about a half hour ago recording his wine podcast.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
boy.
He was lamenting the loss of the column as a once great.
It's just not the
Sunday
column.
morning
It's not the
piece.
column anymore. It's
That's what he said.
I don't know what it is, but it's not what it was.
No.
It's too bad.
Well, it was funny because it harkens back to a podcast he did with Peter Lucas, the Boston Herald former Lowell Sun columnist.
Yes.
Who came in. They did a post-election
Those are two legends.
podcast. And that's by the way, hint, that could be a preview of a coming attraction.
Ooh. All right.
Peter and Campy. We'll see if we can get them on a podcast. But he said something during his podcast that caught my ear, and it was reinforced these past two Sundays, or two of the last three Sundays, I should say, after reading the column in the Sun. And that was that in the old days, editors and reporters used to actually talk more to people. They would be out on the streets. They were talking to the people,
Sure.
getting to know the community, getting to know what people were thinking, as opposed to kind of sitting behind a desk and everything being email or phone call, or, even he lamented how many polls are out there now. Every single media entity is running a poll of some sort or another.
Right.
It's like, and that becomes the poll.
That's how they gauge opinion. Yeah.
And they're gauging opinion through that, where if you just talk to people, you seem to get a better sense. And I feel like I've been lucky, not to toot my own horn, but I've been lucky growing up in the restaurant industry. I've been exposed to a wide range of people for forever, and you just kind of they're good coffee shops.
You get it all. Yeah.
Right? They're good places. A bar. It's a great place to kind of get a sense of what people are thinking. And it was driven home to me yesterday when I was reading the column, and the part written by Peter Courier, who's the Sun's Bill Ricca and I think Tewksbury correspondent, unless I'm wrong. 2 weeks ago, he lambasted anyone who voted for Trump.
Are you sure that was him?
It was 100% Peter Curry. Yeah,
Oh, really?
The first part is always Melanie Gilbert.
Yeah.
The second part, they'll tell you if it's Peter Curry or Prue Brighton, depending on if it's Drake or Bill Ricker that they're covering.
Okay.
But
I might owe her an apology then.
You were wrong on that. It wasn't.
Well, no, I blamed them both. Both of their names were on it, so they both own it.
It was Peter Currier. But that, after 2 weeks after lambasting Trump voters, he writes something yesterday about the negotiations for the new Bill Ricker town manager, who's the assistant town manager, is now the interim town manager, and they voted to appoint him, but they still have to work out some salary details. And he left a part in there about the health insurance compensation being over $2,000 a month. And multiple times in the column, he goes, I didn't know that health insurance was $2,000 a whack. And it said to myself, that explains why you wrote what you wrote 2 weeks ago. Because it's okay to have political differences. But when you have such a complete lack of understanding of how other people think, it's because you're not necessarily talking to them, and you don't know, because if you talk to people often enough, you know that health insurance is pretty damn expensive, regardless of the promise in 2009 of Obamacare reducing the cost of insurance. Hasn't reduced it for normal working class people.
Yeah, that's kind of a known thing.
And so you're one of the 3 columnists left in the Lowell Sun, and you don't know that health insurance is expensive? And it can be up to $2,000 a month for the average Joes? That's a complete loss of touch with what's out there. And, kudos to Peter Lucas, because he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
And he made it stick in my head.
It's interesting that was the part that bothered you. I was bothered by the first part of the column, the whole moving to, and again, it's a nice life story and personal, but that's not what the column is. I want to know rumors and political stories. Yeah. I want to know when Danielle McFadden announces that she's running for city council, I'd like to read something about it, or something about her, or something about the race, or something. Great. I mean, we're at the point now where you're taking opinion or like Facebook personal things, and that's the column now? You got to do something about this. I'm going to start yelling at you, too.
All right, well.
All right, we got Dick House holding his own. Step it up.
We're trying to do something about it. We're doing a live here. We're going to step up our podcasting on local issues and other issues, because, again, the theme of my Big Fat Lowell podcast is a look at the world through a Lowell lens, because everything comes back to Lowell. We can tie everything back to Lowell, and we have. And I do also want to mention that you said her name. You teased Danielle McFadden.
Yes.
All right. Well, there's an empty chair next to Asa that you folks can see there. I'm pointing at it right there. Right, see that empty chair? It's there because Danielle made the mistake of coming into the office today. So I told her we're going to drag her in here. We'll call her in here in a few minutes.
Excellent.
And talk about her school committee candidacy.
Has she put out? I mean, she put out the press release that she was running. Has she done any videos or anything like that, or just the press release?
She's already, Danielle, she's already like the queen of social media. She's all over the social media.
Is she going to come in like dressed like Hillary with like the American flag?
if she pulls a pantsuit out,
yes.
I'm immediately endorsing all her opponents.
Good morning, Mr. Panos.
But hey, look, it's interesting because, that's part of what we want to talk about on this special live show. And by the way, we want to invite you folks to chime in as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, I see there's some comments coming in already. Andy Ortiz is there saying, let's go. Andrew Berry saying, yes, sir.
A lot of Andys.
Andy also asked, what's the recap of the outrageous article? Was it addressed?
The recap of the outrageous...
Must have been the Sun column.
The column, yeah.
When his comment came in.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was it. It was, again, it's a nice personal story. Great. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but just doesn't belong in the column. People are paying money. Honestly, there's a lot of people
make the column great again.
Yeah, I said people used to get the Sun and just pay for Sunday. Back then it was bigger and different, but the people clinging there were clinging because of the column, and when you don't have that anymore, you've got nothing.
Yeah, somewhere Chris Scott is rolling over in his new
he was so good. I was saying, like, he knew what it was, and he would get mad. He'd have people he didn't like. You could tell, but he knew what it was, and he played the game. You could throw an elbow or a little cheap shot in there, but you stay on brand. right now we are very far from that.
Yeah, we got to get. Come on, Melanie. I like Melanie. She's good. And even if we disagree, it's like let's get that column back to local stuff. You know,
right? Like Dick Howe in his Substack is a super nice guy, but he'll throw some bombs at people. He's not afraid. Like he's like he's a progressive liberal, which is fine. It's him. That's his thing. But he's not afraid. Like every Sunday, you get a rebuttal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's my Sunday morning entertainment. Dick Howe more so than the column, because he'll put it out there, and within an hour, Eric Gitchier is out on Facebook. You know it's coming. And yesterday, Corey Robinson went to Facebook, sent me an op-ed, said, "Will you run them?" Yeah, I'll run an op-ed from any city councilor. If they got something to say, we'll put it out there. I've done a number of them. We'll keep doing it. But that's what people want to hear from these officials.
Yeah, no, that's going to be part of the new Lowell political ecosystem. And if that's the part of it, is that it's a blog and then a rebuttal and some social, that's fine. It's something. People are talking. People are debating, giving opinions. Beautiful.
And they're carrying. And you're seeing it, as you mentioned, Danielle, it's like to me, this is the earliest start of a municipal campaign. I don't remember anybody announcing their candidacy quite that early, before Thanksgiving.
Hold on, you're disservicing somebody here. Didn't Ricky Pang or some guy? No, Ricky Pang was my friend.
Yes, so that's what I'm mentioning. So what's
the guy's name?
Oh, geez, I ran up.
Sorry,
Thatch. Ricky Thatch announced his candidacy for city council. Ronald DiBerto, who will have a starring role, I understand, Saturday, I think, at the City of Lights Parade. He announced his candidacy for city council. I believe he wants to run for the Belvedere seat, District 3.
Okay.
He was one of the people who applied back during that the whole summer process there about replacing John Leahy.
How many actually applied? I forget. Was it like six or seven?
Who threw their names in there. And I think he's actually running, and I believe he's running in District 3. I've asked him for a little more information. I'll be happy to talk about his candidacy, but we have Ricky Thatch. And now, but they're two relative, they're newcomers, but relatively unknown. They'll be known very quickly depending on how active their campaign is.
Sure.
But Danielle's like the big fish to jump
so
in.
Far, for sure.
That's like a splash. Somebody who's been known in media circles, CAP, of course, here through Inside Lowell, but as president of the chamber for 13 years, 13, Gary Francis, not since 2021. Sorry, I couldn't help that one. If he took it from Inside Lowell, he would have gotten that correct.
13 years. That's a lot of interactions with a lot of different people and businesses.
And all the different nonprofits that she's been involved with, the food bank, the Salvation Army and whatnot. So that's like a big name in there. And I'll tell you what's interesting is we could have a fun at-large school committee race if the two incumbents, Jackie Doherty and Connie Martin, seek re-election. If they both
for sure,
that's three strong, independent women who are no strangers to the Lowell political scene. Jackie, Connie have known. They've served for ages on the school committee.
They've top tickets off and on for a decade, essentially. That's good. Anything's better than last election. There was no competition, right? There was just the two of them.
They ran unopposed. And only, I think...
It's already spicier.
I believe only one of the 4 district seats on the school committee had a competitive race. It was the Fred Bahu, Stacey Thompson seat.
Was that... Oh, you're right. Wait, no. Dominic Lay?
Dominic Lay ran unopposed this time.
Yeah.
So did Eileen Del Rossi. She went from having 2 opponents to none in the matter of like a week and a half.
Yeah.
So she ran unopposed. And Dave Conway ran unopposed when Susie Chun decided to run for city council and challenge Kim Scott in District 5 as opposed to going for that Belvedere South Lowell combination seat. So right now, barring an unexpected announcement from Jackie Doherty or Connie Martin, you've got a real
that's
a large race on the school committee side.
I like it.
So, why are we seeing it earlier?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, it'll be great to actually ask a candidate and find out straight from her.
Should we drag her in here?
Yeah.
All right. Well, God, Danielle, if you can hear us, come on.
She's working, actually.
She's working next door.
What a place this is.
The chamber office is right next door here to the Inside Lowell studio. So we'll call her in here. While Danielle does make her entrance here, I'll let you know that you're tuned into Inside Lowell Podcast, my Big Fat Lowell Podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. And I promise Ace and I will get out there to the rest of the country and the world before we're done here. We're going to try to go for an hour here. I want to thank our friends, of course, at WellPoint, the WellPoint Studios, where we're broadcasting from. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thank you to our friends at Washington Savings Bank. I got my Washington Savings Bank brand new mug. I got V, you rock. We got to get you on a podcast sometime soon. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. Maybe if they like you as much as they like me, you too can get a free mug. TMI Properties, they got some openings right now at the Air Mansion. Quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space at TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and security to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. Just doing some quick math in my head. It's almost a century, folks.
He's good.
Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for more than 41 years. Real Estate Ray Booten stepping up his sponsorship game. He's now a podcast sponsor, you know.
Oh, really?
Booten, yeah.
Has he ever heard the Power Hour?
He listens to all of them.
Might change his mind.
He listens to all of them. Real Estate Ray Booten, the real estate agent Greater Lowell counts on. He's licensed in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire. He's also a certified appraiser in both states, which comes in very handy when you want to know where you should price your house if Ray's selling it, or how much you should offer to buy the house you're interested in if Ray is your agent. Of course, let's not forget the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Tsongas Center on the campus of downtown Lowell. And with that, look at that. The magic of, thank you for reminding me to turn her microphone on.
I got you.
The magic of doing a commercial break there, live. Look who's joining us in that empty seat.
Good morning.
Danielle McFadden, Madame President, the President of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and the newest political candidate here in the city of Lowell. You made the biggest splash of the three who've already declared. No disrespect to the other two, and we'll give them a chance to come in and do a podcast. And I'll give you a legitimate one-on-one discussion of issues as well at some point. But I figured since you made the mistake of coming into the office today, let's drag you.
It's never a mistake coming to the office.
That's right. She actually has a real job, believe it or not.
I know. I see people working here. It's strange.
Thank you for vouching for me, guys.
Sure.
So, how does it feel? How has life changed since you sent out your press release Thursday? We actually had a conversation. You asked me not to say anything, and then I went and said something. So sorry about that.
Yeah, you moved up my timeline slightly, but I wanted to announce it before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but that's early.
It is early.
In the old days, people didn't really announce their candidate until they'd go to City Hall in June and pull the nomination papers to go gather signatures. Now we're seeing it starts after the new year. I think one time Dave Conway announced he was going to try to make the leap from school committee to city council, I think in December.
And that was early.
And which was really early. And then
So this
Patrick
is
Murphy,
really early.
I mean, we haven't even, put the stuffing in the Thanksgiving turkey yet. Why so early?
It's something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I've been talking about it to you and other folks for several months now. And so I thought, carpe diem, let's get out there before the holidays. And it gives me time to allow people to get to know me a little bit better. I have a Facebook now and Instagram for the campaign. Just kind of drum up some interest early, hopefully, and
What are you seeing? Are you seeing that interest? Because I'll tell you, the stuff that I've put on Inside Lowell, a ton of traffic and feedback, and you already have your first skeptic. I won't say critic, but somebody who wants to know, what you're going to do about the some of the terrible reading scores, and especially in the midst of Lowell's Hispanic community. And they were questioning, well, how is she, as a chamber president, going to be able to respond to that?
I'm a chamber president, but I'm a mother, and I have kids in the school system, and I think that's a really important piece of this whole puzzle.
School committee member, potential school committee member, with kids in the school system. Yes. Wow. Who'd have thought that?
Novelty.
So Eileen Del Rossi's son, I believe, was, but now he's not. For reasons, justifiable. I think, did Mike Dillon, were his kids?
I don't remember, because he was there during the COVID, and he was fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't remember a real
School system
personal element
now
to it.
if they weren't before.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
maybe younger. I don't know.
But you know that
Yeah.
you no disrespect to any of the other
Right.
candidates out there, but you're kind of in that age range there now. You know, can't give a woman's age.
I'll be 42 in January.
We made a big deal of the fact that you turned 40, but you know, early 40s, you know, 35 to 45-year-olds. That's where there kind of seems to be like a leadership void in Lowell. A lot of great public servants and community leaders who keep saying, "Hey, when's the next generation of leaders coming in?" Well, you've attempted to answer the call.
I hope to answer the call. The support so far has been really great. I mean, I grew up in Lowell, grew up in the Highlands. I live in Pawtucketville. Obviously, I've been at the Chamber for 13 years. I have kids in the school system. I have kids that play sports, do activities. I come from a big family, so the at-large move made sense for me. And the response has been great so far. I've already had people signing up to help out on the campaign, and I had people like that I went to middle school with, high school with, reach out to me to see how they could help. So it's been really nice kind of reconnecting with some people that I haven't spoken to in decades as well.
Yeah. So you've born, raised,
Yes.
entire life here in
Yes.
Lowell. The only time you left, I think, when you went to college.
Yes, I went to Westfield State.
And
But
that's-
I remember I was a senior year, and we were in class, and the teacher had us say one thing that like makes us really happy. And mine was when I'm on 495 and I see the sign that says Lowell 10 miles. So
She's a
I love Lowell.
natural politician right here.
So you knew you were going to run at a very young age.
Yeah.
How does having kids in the public school system? How does that? Well, actually, let me ask you. How would you rate the public school system?
I've been extremely happy with the public school system, but I think that there's always room to improve and to be representative of everybody in our community. And I've experienced firsthand like how mental health and special needs can impact families and impact individual students. And so I want to bring that piece to my campaign as well.
How do the schools compare today with what you're seeing through your kids to how when you were a student and you were going through many of those same
Yeah, so I
school
actually
buildings?
went to St. Margaret's, which is now Lowell Catholic, through 8th grade. And then I was like adamant about wanting to go to Lowell High School and about sending my kids to public schools when I became a parent. So, I mean, I had a great experience at Lowell High. My brothers had great experiences. All my cousins, so I come from 28 on my mom's side, we all went to Lowell High School. And so I think Lowell High did really well for us. But there are kids that can fall through the cracks. And there are kids that don't have parents that... there are kids like Asa.
You want to chime in?
Oh, no. I had 5 great years there.
I thought you had 6, so up to you.
5 grade years. He was talking
I
about.
aged out.
He was talking about first grade.
Actually, we do have 2 messages coming in for Danielle
Poor
already.
Danielle, I love
Let's see,
it.
first one. Do school committee candidates run citywide or by neighborhood?
You can
Both.
choose. Yes, I'm running at large.
So you're running at large.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
chose at large as
did.
opposed to what I believe would be the District 4.
District 1.
District 1,
Yeah,
the hybrid Pawtucketville and
Highlands.
Upper Highlands
Yep.
seat,
And
currently
another-
held by Fred Bahu.
Correct.
And another message coming in from a man named Gilly. Not sure.
Oh, boy. I'm
here we
scared of
go.
whatever this is going to be.
Noel Cregan, Dan Shanahan, and Matt LaLasha called. They said, run away from the Panos bump as fast as you can.
I am not endorsing Danielle. Billy. I promise. I'm out of the
The great
endorsement.
kiss of death in politics.
I can't say, you know, whether I'll be rooting for her or not, but I'm gonna keep it down the middle of the night. Listen, if I find an inner snowflake in there,
Yeah.
you know, who was in favor of, you know, school lockdowns again, you know,
Sure.
the next scare that comes along, I may go after her.
It could be great. Like, really, she does something that makes you mad and you're in here ripping her and she can hear you from the other room. A weird dynamic.
Biting my tongue.
She'll walk in right in the middle of the podcast,
Break the window.
pull a Bob Hoey on me, you know. so
I
you're-
would never do that.
So your kids have the same love, you know, for the Lowell.
Oh, they
public school
do. I
system.
mean, yeah.
They're already going to sporting events and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We're at all the Lowell High football games, and Landry's already talking about playing Lowell High baseball, and he's in 3rd grade, and he's ready. And ready to
Excellent.
go. So, yeah.
And they're in 2nd grade,
In 3rd grade.
and 2nd and 3rd
Yeah.
grade, so they have a fighting chance to actually not have to deal with construction in their school.
Yeah, I
when
would
they go
think
to
by
high
the time
school.
they're at Lowell High School,
You think
they
it'll
will
be
not have to
done?
deal with construction.
All right, that'll be
And they will benefit from
6 years. Okay. Well, we'll just wait till they get into the Kirk
Stop
building.
rushing the 6 years away. Jeez.
So what are the issues you're going to focus on? What's going to be, before we let you go back and do some chamber work, since they're paying the bills?
I'm still like, I want to get into the schools. I want to talk to teachers. I want to talk to families. I want to really get a good kind of picture of how people view the school systems. I think one thing that I want to do is really work hard at the reputation of Lowell Public Schools and having families like have that pride. Because if you have pride in your school system and in your schools, then that trickles down, right? Like everybody should want to go to Lowell High football games on Friday nights. Like that should be a community thing. So kind of the reputation, I think it's a good reputation. I think we can improve on that. And then accessibility for mental health, I think is huge. It's so hard right now to get any type of mental health help for your children, whether it be a therapist, a family therapist, any other treatments that you need. It's nearly impossible. It takes months, if not years, for that to happen. So I think that's a very important issue too. And then just being representative and reflective of the entire community, not just my little piece of Lowell, but everybody. Every culture, the diversity.
All right.
Excellent.
So she's got the talking point.
She's on the board.
But let's
I like
see how
it.
she does when she gets questioned. Not today.
He's like
Not
really
today.
almost like enjoying this a little too much.
Yes.
I got,
Enjoying this. I
all
usually
right.
sing your praises, but now I
I
get
know
to,
he's like
now
he's
I get to
ready,
interview
I told you
with
he
the
which is
candidate.
good. That's a good thing.
Told you he was evil.
Yeah, he's I don't know.
You're gonna long for the days of Big Fun Friday by the time I'm done interviewing.
Either well, then I can give my my cocktail of the week. This was back when I was pre
Yeah.
kids.
You're scaring off Ricky Thatch, so calm down a little, all right? Don't be threatening the candidates.
No, I'm cordial to the rest of them, but Danielle,
Okay,
there's a
gotcha.
familiarity with, there's an expectation there. Just kidding. I'm excited to see that you're running. Look forward to actually
you.
talking to you about the issues and introducing your views on some of these important issues. And we'll do that. I'll get you in here after the new year, okay?
That sounds great.
But feel free to pop in at any point during the rest of this podcast if you want to get in trouble once we start talking about everything else.
Whew, I don't know. I'm flustered. No, I'm kidding. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Danielle.
Good luck, Danielle.
Bye, thank
Danielle
you.
McFadden, Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce president, joining us here in the WellPoint studios. WellPoint is the only health plan offering benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members.
A couple more.
WellPoint,
Oh, sorry.
Your whole health is their whole point.
That was a
And,
dramatic pause. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I missed that one.
Asa Stutz is here, my Big Fat Lowell podcast, to look at the world through a Lowell lens, though we haven't left the Lowell city limits yet. We're still stuck
not
here
yet.
in Lowell.
So we got two comments that came in.
All right, what do we got? Let's
Going
read
back
it.
to our previous conversation, Mr. M. Batch. That name sounds familiar.
Oh, I think your colleague on the Power
I
Hour.
think he was going back to our column conversation about who writes what. His comment is, the part tearing Corey Robinson apart is usually Melanie. The lefty rants is the guy from The Rick. So there's that. And this next comment.
That's a probably accurate assessment. Yep.
This comment, next one, is from Michael. You know what? I don't know if I should read the last names. Why out people?
Just do the well. They're out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out. They're out
that's
there.
true,
On
that's
the YouTube.
true.
That's going to be memorialized on
That's
the YouTube.
true. From
chat,
Michael.
so.
Speculation on what the open meeting law complaint was. It's on tomorrow night's city council agenda under executive sessions.
Speculation on what the open meeting law complaint was. So let's see. We've had
Again, are these new ones or old ones? Because there's all sorts of.
So there's been I think it was regarding the homeless thing.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, right? Isn't that what it's? Oh, the no camping ordinance.
Okay. What
not
was the
mistaken.
violation?
I
What was
don't
the-
know. Maybe the meetings weren't properly, the minute meetings weren't properly put in there or properly posted. I don't know.
What did they get reprimanded by the state from? Which one was that?
So they've gotten
By the way, this all sounds really bad, but there's honestly a couple things they possibly did slightly wrong, and there's also people out there or a person that likes to file complaints a lot.
Yeah.
And they all have to go through the process.
And so the city was found having violated open meeting laws on a handful, I think like 5, maybe 6 occasions.
That was a whole bundle of.
Most of them have involved the executive session minutes,
Okay.
which I have an easy fix for that. Just record it. Technology, we record the city council meeting. The minutes don't, there's your minutes, okay?
Right.
Do the same thing in executive session and then don't release it until it's no longer a thing. So you'll never, you almost feel bad. I don't even know who keeps these notes. It's got to be somebody from the clerk's office, right? But you're keeping meeting minutes. Let it all come out. If there's nothing to hide, let it all come out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No violation, no nothing.
I wonder if this is, though, his question. Is this a new one, or is this just putting a bow on the old one? Because it's like, the state came through with their ruling.
Yeah.
I truly don't know.
Well, last week or 2 weeks ago, they met in executive session to review executive session minutes. Releasing them for there was like a treasure trove from January to whatever. So I don't know what this one's about, but the major violations were, one, they improperly had a discussion on July 9th about replacing replacing John Leahy, and then they eventually replaced him with Cory Belanger at the July 23rd meeting.
Right.
No violation was found at the July 23rd meeting. And then there was also a violation found with the counselors who wrote the kind of the op-ed and the statement asking Corey Robinson to step aside. That was found to be a violation, which begs the question, was the trip to Toronto where 7 counselors were there? Is that a violation? Why isn't that? Are we going to get a complaint about that being a violation? I would imagine they talk to each other.
We need to talk about that. So most people have no idea what's happening with that. And we have no specifics at all either. But the basics are the mayor, Danny Rourke, went up to some conference a month, 5 weeks ago or something, right?
Yeah, he got featured in a Capital Analytics online thing, and it's also a print publication. He got featured in that, and that led to an invitation to some
mayoral conference in Toronto. He went there, met some people, did some networking, and there was some group, I don't know if they're developers or builders or what they are, but they wanted to know more about Lowell. They were interested in Lowell. So the mayor came back, told everyone, hey, they want us to go up there and kind of present the city to them, I guess. Does that make sense?
My understanding is there was some pretty serious discussions going on.
Right. And it was like, hey,
could bear fruit here.
This is the Lowell delegation. This is our city. This is, where we're at with different projects and open space and buildings and everything, essentially. And that's kind of where we're at now, and no one will tell us the next part, which is the important part. Does something come of it? There's hints and rumors, and people seem really happy about it, but zero specifics.
Not for lack of asking. What I have been able to discern is that there's a lot of optimism up there, but a lot of need to look into it more.
Nervous optimism?
Because there's always a catch, right?
Skeptical?
Look, no one's throwing, hundreds of millions of dollars at you potentially if there isn't a catch. UMass Lowell, the Link project, $800 million development. Well, there's a catch there, so a signature bridge has to be fixed. Other things have to be done infrastructure-wise. Some TIFs have to be agreed upon. There's all sorts of things. So what's the catch with this? And I just kind of looking into the organization, as you did as well. They're one of these, they're almost like affiliated with the United Nations.
They were, yes.
Initiatives and like global money coming in. And whenever I hear global money coming into Lowell, oh no. Here we go with the freaking bike lanes and
my biggest fear was that
all electric buildings or whatever.
Right. No, my biggest fear was that it was one of these 15-minute cities, which you hear about, which sound great, but it really gets into this future dystopian type world that I'm personally not interested. People love it, and some people, they're pushing it. It doesn't seem like this group has anything to do with that. Maybe they're in the same space and they go to the same coffee shops, but maybe I don't think so that was my personal biggest fear, because it's like, oof. So we don't know. So are we going to find out in the next couple of weeks? It seems like
I think they flew back over the weekend, and again, my texts to a number of them either went unreturned or were returned with good, potentially good stuff. That's about the best I could get, but they didn't fly 7 city councilors, the city manager, Giovanni. Forgive me, Giovanni. I don't know your official title, but she's assistant city manager.
Baez Rose.
Yes.
Nickname Bunny. Grew up on Cross Street. I didn't even know her name my whole life.
Nickname Bunny?
Yeah, her name was Bunny as a kid.
My wife's grandmother's nickname was Bunny.
Oh, yeah.
Bunny Coochie.
It was Bunny Baez from Cross Street.
But so that was a big deal. That they didn't just go up there to talk about one, a potential building in Hamilton Canal, or can you guys replace Salapoli?
This is big.
This is a bigger, that can be done, via email and whatnot. To me, this is something bigger that hopefully, we'll keep digging, and who knows, maybe when we get off the air here at 11 o'clock, we can keep going. But I've never been more optimistic about the city's future for all the issue, the homelessness and the inefficiencies and whatnot, well publicized and whatnot. Fix the big things, make Lowell, I almost feel like we're in the midst of another industrial revolution like there was in 1860. And I kind of feel like between Link, the university, and now this potential, I almost feel like the city, and I said this, I remember when we first launched Inside Lowell, the city could be unrecognizable in a decade. And I think it's starting to come to fruition.
It is. It seems to be. It's just, we've gotten close. Actually, you know what? Close is the wrong word. We rule the world in artist sketches of what the future looks like. How many have you seen between the Hamilton Canal and this and that? And it's like, a lot of them just don't happen. The Link seems to be happening. We're finally going to score a touchdown here. This project could be huge. Could be again, if the Link switches, what's that part of the city called? Is it
East Campus?
East Campus?
Yeah, that's what the former East Campus.
So you've got East Campus. That's happening. And then if you get the Hamilton area, anything in that area, in that whole corridor from the train station, essentially to the old the Dutton Street,
right?
Where you used to live over
Textile
there.
History Museum, the old Giant store.
If you can have this project there, it's like, wow, you're right. Within 10 years,
and we're
it'll be a
overdue
different city.
for Tom Golden, City Manager Golden appearance to be sitting in that chair. But he, the last couple of times he was here, he keeps talking about other stuff, and he's talking about Apple's the Jam area and Appleton Street and whatnot, and he talks about transformative stuff there. So, until we hear specific, I wonder if this is tied into it, but until we hear specifics,
I don't think it was. It seemed like that talk was before this happened.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I think they're unrelated.
Well, did they
get a bidding war on Appleton
did
Street?
they get a fish to bite on that concept there? I don't know, but this one has me more excited, and I'll tell you why, because it actually shows a competence in our city government. And I've always thought the manager was competent. I thought, the previous managers were competent, right?
Oh, yeah.
Donahue,
Very competent.
Kevin Murphy, Bernie Lynch. They each brought something to the table. I believe each of the councils brought something to the table. But I almost feel like this council has done like legwork on certain things that, while they may drive me nuts, right? MBTA communities, the folks in Drake ain't excited about MBTA communities, but this is the kind of stuff that gets the globalists to talk about.
Right.
So, Lowell has already done this. Lowell is in Boston. And it points to me to a competence and a success of the administration and the council and and the supporting characters around them in getting, somebody in Toronto is freaking interested in the city of Lowell.
Right.
Which, unless it was to find out, where did Dickie Eklund film that scene? And
yeah. It's called the Highland Tap.
Yeah, this is a big deal, and it's ours. It's not the university. It's not something that Marty Meehan did.
It's not
or
the
Julie
state.
Shen. Right, it's not the state.
It's not the nonprofits yet.
Yeah. But this is something to say, hey, wow, the city of Lowell did this. Maybe these people really do know what they're doing, warts and all. And you almost wonder, is all this at South Common? Because by the way, this just popped to me now, but Appleton, Jam, not too far from South Common, right? Hamilton Canal District, not too far from South Common. If you're going to develop an area, you can't have South Common being what it's been for the last year and a half. So all of it, even this homeless discussion, vagrancy discussion, you almost feel like, hey, they've put a plan together and now they're executing it. And I got to give them kudos for that. And if they may, maybe they'll pull the football like Lucy and I'll be Charlie Brown again.
But no, even if just the Link happens, it's a massive victory. So no matter what, they're succeeding. It's successful. This is just like, I don't want to say bonus or extra, but we don't know what it is yet, but it could be huge.
Well, they're back from Toronto. There's a council meeting tomorrow. Hopefully there's a discussion about it and we can, maybe a report.
Right, they weren't all there. Right? There was a big crew, but not all of them were there, correct?
But, so, yeah, there were 4. I think Paul Ratayem has been away. Corey Robinson, Eric Gitcher, Wayne Janess didn't go, but I would imagine that they'll be caught up on everything pretty quickly. We are getting the feedback, by the way. You can chime in YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. There's a chat right to the right of your screen. Leave your comments there. Michael has been very busy, and he does confirm that the current agenda says to consider and discuss 2 open meeting law complaints filed against the City Council on November 13, 2024. So that was as a result of the camping ban. I would imagine there wasn't anything else on that agenda, was there? That would be an open meeting law complaint? Maybe
possibly, but that sucked up all the oxygen that night, so that was the only thing.
It's a shame Laura Ortiz doesn't work for the chamber. We could call her in here. And we could just call her next door like we did with Danielle and have her come in. And Michael also confirms the council met previously that was to replace the executive session meeting minutes from January 1st to November 19th, which they are online now, and people can
Michael's very interested in this executive session.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people interested in it.
Yeah.
I have to ask Michael, if you're one of these folks. I know Miss Ortiz is very upset, and others, that first of all, it hasn't garnered the attention that folks think it deserves. Perhaps because are there really any teeth there? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
Andrea came like, don't do it again.
All of these.
You did it again. It's like me with my kids. If you do it one more time, you're going to get in big trouble.
Yep.
I almost like the countdown is missing. In 5, 4.
Is
it really a violation if there isn't a penalty that goes with it?
No, not really.
Maybe there should be. I'm not going to say there shouldn't be, but when there's
big allegations, is it always just the same thing? Is it always just some sort of collusion, or 4 counselors spoke to each other when they shouldn't have, or
what's left out of the executive session minutes? Who know? And if you don't know what the conversation was, do the people filing the complaints know what the conversation is, and that
I don't know,
it was left out of the discussion?
I'm sure it's important stuff, but it bores me, to be honest with you.
But would that mean that somebody violated the open meeting law by saying what was in there? I mean, everybody talks about when we find out some snippets of what happened, people go, oh, they talk to the press, they talk to these guys. Like, well, yeah. How do you know there's a violation? If the minutes haven't been released, how do you know the minutes were improper?
Just throwing a dart.
Just wondering.
Probably is one.
I don't know. But anyway, it'd be nice if there was some teeth behind it, just like the ethics committee, right? Remember the whole John Leahy thing, right? Which was one of the...
Yeah.
Like, somebody should come out and explain why John Leahy's situation was different than Riddy Young's situation back in 1995 or 6, whenever that occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the difference? Was it just whoever you happen to contact who answered the phone?
Are these all state laws, or are they all just, or does Robert's rules come with?
Who is Robert? Can we answer that question?
No.
AI.
Is it a first name or a last name?
AI.
You want me to check Robert?
Let's go. Let's check Robert's rules.
Robert the Bruce, man.
Yeah. While you Google search Robert rules, I'll remind you that you're tuned into a special live edition for another 18 minutes of my Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. I want to thank our sponsors, of course, our friends from WellPoint. You see the sign over my shoulder there. We're coming to you from the WellPoint studios. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thanks to our friends at Washington Savings Bank. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank, and maybe, just maybe, you can get a Washington Savings Bank coffee mug like I did. Thanks, V. Thanks, WSB. Appreciate it. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space at TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell for nearly a century. 1925, they started operations. They're a great family. So much stuff they do behind the scenes, folks, and they won't even come in here. I'm trying to drag them in here to talk about it, and they won't. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for nearly a half century. Our friend Real Estate Ray Booten, the newest podcast sponsor here on Inside Lowell. Ray, I apologize. I forgot to put your logo up there. I was too worried about the technical component of this, but we'll get you up there pretty soon. But if you're in the market to buy or sell a home in Massachusetts or New Hampshire, Real estate Booten is your man. Consistently ranked one of RE/MAX's top agents, not just in Lowell, not just in New England, but in all of the United States. And of course, thanks as well to our friends at the Massachusetts Pirates for bringing you all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Songus Center here in downtown Lowell. Back to our friend Asa Stutz. All right, so you asked AI, who was Roberts from Robert's Rules? What do we know?
Well, let's see. This is from, it came from U.S. Army officer Henry Martin Robert. So it's a last name, not a first name.
Okay.
A U.S. Army officer, Henry Martin Robert, 1837 to 1923, saw a need for a standard of parliamentary procedures while living in San Francisco. He found San Francisco in the middle to late 19th century to be a chaotic place where meetings of any kind tended to be tumultuous, with little consistency of procedure and with people of many nationalities and traditions thrown together. So, chaotic city council meetings in San Francisco led old man Robert to say, screw it, we need rules.
Military dude.
Yes,
back then everybody was a military
but
dude,
he
right?
based it mostly on the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Non-military. He just happened to be a military guy.
All right.
So that's where it comes from.
So there we
I
go.
always thought it was a first name, Robert.
So did I.
Yeah.
Like, who is Robert? Why do we follow his rules and not my rules?
Justice John Roberts. Could be, we'll see. That'll be part 2.
All right. Just to quickly wrap up our local election chat, does the fact that we have 3 declared candidates, does that point to a much more active 2025 municipal election than we saw in 2023, where the only thing that was more pathetic than the lack of candidates was the lack of voters?
I mean, yes. It doesn't mean it's going to be this overwhelming, transformative race, but as soon as we get about 10 people, if we're already at 3 combined between the school committee and the council, yeah, it'll be better. Just the fact that the school committee had no competition, 2 at-large seats, 2 candidates. Right off the bat, it's a little bit spicier, which is good.
Right.
City council race, we'll see. Next time we do a show, we need to do a report card, mid-year. Maybe the power hour.
You're going to do that on a power hour with your
Yes,
hosts, or on a Big Fat Lowell podcast with yours truly?
We'll do it at some point, yeah. You said you're going to be doing more shows? Or?
We are. We're going to, and we'll ramp it up. All I'll say, Asa, is after the new year, we'll, lots more to come. Let's just put it to you that way. The holidays, guests and stuff tend to become more scarce. But after the new year, which is officially an election year here in Lowell, I think it's time to kind of start to fill a little bit more of that void that we talked about.
There is a void
at the beginning of this show. Let's go a little bit more national, state, but again, always the Lowell tie-in.
Okay.
The battle between Donald Trump and his new ICE director, who I got a man crush on him, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That guy's
Tom Homan.
not messing around.
Holman. And Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. Maura Healey says, don't come to Massachusetts trying to do mass deportations. And then last week, she sent out an interesting informational directive that there are going to be some changes to the emergency shelter system, especially as it pertains to migrants. They were going to de-emphasize hotels and motels because they're very expensive and don't provide the best environment to raise a family of 5.
Okay.
So what does that mean for the future of the Inn and Conference Center?
It's a good question.
1-year agreement, 2nd-year option that the state holds to use it for a 2nd year. We're getting close. It's November 25th. By last October, UMass Lowell had stopped booking things in preparation for turning it over to the state.
Yep.
I've sent out both to the chancellor's office, Julie Chen, and to the governor's office asking when was day 1 of that lease?
Right.
Because families didn't start moving in till March, if I remember. They were supposed to move in February.
Yeah, there was at least, we were on watch there. It was at least 4 or 5 weeks minimum.
But since UMass Lowell stopped booking events as of September 30, I believe, October 1st, they didn't book any more events. You would like to think they were getting some rental payments or something, right? Some income.
For sure.
So I'm waiting. You know, it's interesting. I just saw an email pop up. Literally, timing is everything in life.
What?
The governor's office actually responded to my question.
Oh, there we go.
So, which just says looping somebody from the housing office in to assist. So at least they know I sent an email.
They kick the can down the road a little bit.
Now they'll send the answer to the Sun, and then they'll reply to me.
And do you think that Healy initiative to move away from the hotels, is that money, or is that making it harder for ICE to find people? Or both?
Who knows? Who knows?
'Cause the money's bad. It's still $1 billion a year.
Right. Who are they kidding?
But they don't seem to care, or the criticism didn't seem to stick. But I wonder, it's like, you know, if this Trump administration says day one we're deporting, all they have to do is just drive to the Inner Conference Center and just theoretically it'd be a horrible scene, you know, people, but they're there. I wonder if the state's saying, let's just scatter.
I think that's part. I think somebody in the know told me that's part of it. They're trying to get.
How do you
they
do
They
that?
want a moving target.
It's like, how do you do that? Where do you go?
There's
There's already a housing shortage, like in Lowell, and you can't find any place to live. You can't find, if you're an American citizen with money, you barely find a place to live.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's going to work. I don't know.
So, is there a little bit of a hypocrisy here on the part of the governor who's forcing MBTA communities on? Now, Lowell jumped into the MBTA communities thing head first. I mean, they did a Greg Louganis dive in there.
It's easy. It's easy money for Lowell. All the requirements, it's like, if I don't know what they were. Say there was 10 of them. Like, Lowell had 8 of them done already. So it's like, yeah, sure, we'll take your free money.
But Drake wants no part of it. Just last week,
makes sense.
Milton, of course, is suing over it because they're now threatening to withhold their money. So, so the governor has kind of set a precedent here that works against her on the migrant and ICE issue, right? She forced MBTA communities on cities and towns.
Yep.
Those that do not comply, she's now threatening to withhold funding.
Oh,
So for Donald Trump, I don't even bother sending the troops. Send the ICE agents, and you can find them. They wander around, and trust me, the ones we want to get rid of first, the 1 million or so convicts who have come in here that we've now admitted to it's legitimate here. The Lake and Riley guy, the other guys,
the murderers.
We can go find those house by house if we have to. It's not that difficult. We can get them out.
It's a big job.
But the other way, Donald Trump doesn't have to go into the ICC. All Donald Trump has to say is, your federal transportation money? No. You were touting last year that big bridge, Cape Cod, brand new Cape Bridge. The federal component of that could say to Lowell, what if Donald Trump says, I'm not sending you your money, the money that Lori Trahan was touting?
Yeah.
Are you going to die on that hill if you're a Lowell politician? If you're Maura Healey? If you're Lori Trahan? Are you going to die on that hill? You're going to fight the deportation of people who have known criminal histories? Like, families, okay, that gets touchy. But are you not going to step aside if they come to get the criminals?
That's where it gets
risk your money?
Then again, that's where it switches from the money aspect to actually trying to arrest mayors and governors. It's going to get very ugly here. Like,
I don't even think
Massachusetts, the two that Denver and Massachusetts, Denver the city, Massachusetts the state.
Oh no, Michelle Wu's all in. She's echoing.
Right. Oh no, I'm saying like it's the whole state though. In Denver, I think the governor wasn't as hardcore as the mayor. I'm sorry, in Colorado.
Yep.
But Massachusetts is going to be the place when you're defiantly, your governor and your mayor of your biggest city are saying, no, we're not doing it. That's going to be the first place they send them. And who do they send? Trump says they'll send the army, but that's not a good idea. That's a horrible idea.
No, I don't think that's, I think that's just,
honestly, that's
I'd have to hear exactly what he said.
Bad idea, because one day you won't be president, and some far left liberal could be, and you've set the precedent of sending American troops. He shouldn't even think about doing that.
Well,
I understand
the Biden administration signed an executive order before the election when they were still hoping that they were going to win and they thought there might be some outrage. Look, send the troops to the border.
Yes.
Then the troops get sent to the border. I got news for you. National Guards men and women have been at the border for eternity.
No problem. It's going into cities to arrest
and I don't think you'll see that.
Please don't do that.
I will also question whether that was actually said in part of the policy, to be honest with you. ICE agents, one thing. Troops, we've learned that sometimes an awful lot of hyperbole surrounding what Trump actually said versus what was really said.
I don't know. I watched Rand Paul yesterday, maybe, because again, he's a libertarian. He's like, it's a horrible idea. Don't send in the army to American cities.
It is.
And he didn't push back saying that was a misquote or anything. Like that was what
I don't
Trump
think
said.
you'll see that. I'd be shocked if you see that. But I do think you're going to see ICE agents start to get a little bit more brazen. Hey,
and what happens when the state, again, what happens when the state police, whose boss is the governor, Maura Healey, do not help or comply? What happens?
The ICE agents will start rounding them up.
Listen, they did this in the first Trump presidency, and there was a vague, weird back and forth where they were letting people out the back doors of courthouses. Remember?
They're doing this in the Biden presidency. Go back a month ago to Inside Lowell and read the story about a gentleman committed a rape here. Actually, not a gentleman, an a-hole committed a rape in Lowell, and he was in custody. But somehow ended up free, whether the court let him out or whether ICE was waiting when he was let out the back door or whatever. But the ICE agents, under the direction of the Joe Biden administration, were livid at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the court system for not cooperating with an alleged rapist who apparently has some kind of a history from a foreign land. Crazy. So it wasn't just Donald Trump that they're doing this to. What, are we suddenly going to get outraged now? I mean, ICE agents are coming in and
I know, but I'm saying it seemed like they were a little bit not hands off, but they deferred at times to the state police. I think under the Trump administration, any federal agents coming in are not messing around this time, and that's where you're going to get. We'll see. I think that Mass State Police at some point are going to just turn on the governor. Like, screw you. Like, we know this is a federal law. This is we're following orders. They're following orders. We're not going to stand in their way, but you're going to have small little constitutional issues popping up. And I just think Massachusetts is going to be the epicenter of that.
Well, a lot of lawyers are going to get rich. Although actually they're going to get rich on taxpayer dimes because this is going to be
hosts get
government
rich too.
Maybe, who knows? We can get some advertising
corner of the market
out of it. But it'll be fascinating to see. But I think the people spoke clearly on immigration
for sure
on November 5th.
For sure.
I think those who are fighting that, maybe it's posturing, and I got a hunch there's a lot more posturing than anything else. But they might be wise to at least pretend to listen to the people for a little bit, because it ain't just you and I, Ace.
No.
There's a lot of people of diverse backgrounds, especially Hispanic backgrounds, who said, hey, and that when you see that Kamala Harris only won Lawrence by a dozen points? And Hillary Clinton won it by 66.
Yeah.
That's a message.
For sure.
Lawrence didn't get any more fascist or white, as they like to claim we all are. Lawrence stayed.
I didn't know it was that close. Like Lowell got a little closer, but nothing like that. Lawrence really went below 60-40.
12-point difference, much to the chagrin of many Lowellians who were like to liken Trump supporters. But the Hispanic population did an incredible turnaround, and don't for a minute think that their personal struggles through the legal immigration system and having their family members turned away through the legal immigration system didn't play a hand in watching people who not only came across illegally being welcomed, but then given the red carpet treatment.
Right.
There's
Puerto Ricans, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Lowell, in Lawrence too, but of all the Puerto Ricans I know, which are many, I think they all support Trump. It's strange. You'd think nationally this demographic, forget about
the ones I know.
Forget about the Madison Square Garden joke and the Hinckliffe, all that. But you grew up in Lowell. You're gonna have a lot of Puerto Rican friends, a lot of Cambodian friends, and they're They all support Trump. And this is the thing that national Democrats just don't get. That's how Lawrence can get that close. It's like, you guys don't understand. Like,
well, Seth Moulton's
these
trying
are
to get
Americans.
Steve Lynch is trying to make
the
them
Greek
realize
immigrants are Americans. Puerto Ricans are Americans anyways. But it's like, nobody likes these policies, especially people that are getting the most affected by it.
That was Congressman Lynch from Boston issued that over the weekend. He didn't catch as much flack as Seth Moulton because he went to the immigration issue.
How dare he say that?
Well, look, I think it's going to be a fun civil war in the Democratic Party.
Oh, okay.
In the Democratic Party, look, it comes after every
Who's
election,
their leader?
right?
Ready? We're gonna go off the air pretty soon. It's been about an hour, but who is the next Democratic leader and who's the next progressive leader? Those are not
AOC.
the same people. So
I want to see AOC run for
So
president.
AOC takes over for Bernie.
Not abundance of caution. Alexandria.
And she'll be old enough by 20.
She will be old enough in 2028 to be a presidential candidate. She'll have crossed the 35-year-old.
How about traditional Democrats?
Is there one left?
Here's what's wild.
Gavin Newsom?
Is that
Kay Whitmer?
the progressives are furious, right? And the Democrats are angry. The traditional Democrats.
But they're each blaming each other.
But it's clearly the progressives that are the problem. I mean, look at the issues: crazy immigration, the transgender sports. The economy goes all around with inflation. But for the most part, the progressive policies are the one that destroyed the Democrats, and they're furious with the Democrats for not being progressive enough.
But so here's the thing, though. Is that what destroyed them or the lack of embracing them? Because they'll tell you it's the lack of embracing.
No, that's what they're saying,
and,
right.
And what I'll do is I'll take you back 4 years. When the Republicans lost, they blamed Donald Trump.
Yep.
The Trump's people, the MAGA people, blamed the rhinos. The MAGA people won out over the rhinos and got the presidency back. So don't just assume that the progressives are going to step aside and be defeated, because the progressives may just continue the revolution and take over the Democratic Party, and then
You're right. It's the exact scenario.
your centrist Democrats, your Kennedy Democrats, Reagan Democrats, whatever you want to call them, they may have to find a new home. Maybe they find that home with MAGA.
You need a big polarizing leader, which she fits the bill.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you might need a celebrity, like someone big, like, I'm not saying The Rock, but someone like that.
Mark Cuban.
Maybe. Well, yeah, I don't think so. He really is morphing into Rachel Maddow. That picture's amazing. But they might need to go that Trump route, where it's like traditional politics has just been shattered into a million pieces.
Good.
Everyone.
Good.
Both sides are
I'm
trying to
voting
sweep it
for
up.
AOC.
The Democrats especially are trying to sweep it up and see what they have left. AOC is a strong candidate, but it might just say, hey, we need a huge personality, fearless. I disagree with her, but you're right. She's checking all the boxes.
Well, she's challenging the norm. So, good for her. Look, let's not hide it. The Democrats have gone this way forever, but they've tried to hide it. They've tried to pretend they're centrist. They're not. They're complete leftist, if not Marxists at this point. Right. And they've supported leftist/Marxist policies. Elizabeth Warren is a flat-out leftist, just like Bernie Sanders and all the others. Bring it out. Have that fight. The Republicans are having it. MAGA versus rhinos, and the MAGAs appear to have won. Democrats need to have this fight so that traditional centrist Democrats, which I used to be, can decide, all right, is there a hope for me to be in this party at some point in the future to support their candidates? Or, do I need to get in the middle ground? No.
What you just described, that just takes a whole bunch of centrist Democrats, even more, and just pushes them to the Republican side. I think it does. That's what happened in this election.
Hopefully not the rhino side.
Well, we'll see. Again, hey, listen, you want a flashpoint? It's the Democrats are the party of war now, right? They're foreign intervention. My people.
Right, exactly. You guys have become, the Democrats have become the party of defense.
Don't say you guys. I'm not a Democrat.
The CIA, the FBI, and war. Wait, when I was a kid, this was the Republicans.
Right, and again, and then you have the flashpoint of Israel, supporting Israel. Progressives hate it. Democrats, it's wild. It's kind of good. It's a free-for-all at this point. Because, again, Trump's not running in 4 years, so you're just wiping it clean. Mm-hmm. That'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. All right, want me to read a couple more comments?
Let's go before we wrap it up.
Michael Porter on fire here.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes, thank you for chiming in. We appreciate it. Could there be a government shutdown or not? Federal government is funded through December 22nd, 2024. Last I heard, I thought there was going to be a resolution to push it to
There'll
March.
be no government shutdown.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's happening. December 20th from Kathleen. Maybe they are Jack Kerouac fans. We do have a park dedicated to him. All his roots are from Canada. Two things. One, that's a reference to the Canadian Toronto group. And two, I thought that was a personal joke about me, but I guess it was not.
Yeah, maybe, wouldn't it be ironic if Kerouac was, the initial attraction to Lowell, and now they found everything else?
From the mayor of Lowell, who secretly hates Jack Kerouac?
It's not so much of a secret anymore. You gave away your own cousin's secret. All right, let's cut it there. Asa Stutz, we went over an hour.
All right, we're on the board.
No
You've done a live show.
Yeah, special guest, Danielle McFadden.
Amazing.
Came across the office to grace us with
anyone else that's running for office, just come hang out here. Yeah, do some work.
We'll do some more live shows. You want us to do live shows?
Thank you.
I listen. You're my constituency, so I'm going to listen to you.
I appreciate it.
Do we get to finally name you an official insider, or no? You're still resistant to that?
Close.
You're close?
Closer.
Oh, okay. All right. So live shows.
I need more live shows.
Insider, because will that contribute to some more writing? You're a good writer, by the way, for people who don't know this.
I have good thoughts, not actually a good writer.
Well, you just do a bullet point column, right?
That's
what Peter Gammons did, right? He wrote bullet points.
You can clean it up for me?
I'll clean it up for you.
I'll bring it to Dennis Canny, my English teacher.
There you go.
Turn this into English.
There you go. And he can give us the birthday of the day as well. So more live shows. I will tell you that
more 86 Celtics in your column, please.
Sorry. Basketball camp. It was huge. It must have been riveting for the kids. We're also got a lot more coming up on Inside Lowell as well. After the new year, we got a lot of stuff happening. We recently launched our Inside Tewksbury coverage. I'm really excited about that. Jo Marie Buckley is at work. She's actually working on getting Seth Moulton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And we hope to have them once they get out of their sessions.
She's,
going back
to be clear, she's good. Was she the one that was on the radio
with Jerry? Radio with Jerry.
Oh, yeah, she's good.
Great. I'm dying to get her over here, and I'm glad she's coming over. So we'll have Jo Marie. We launched some Hispanic coverage, Lowell's Hispanic community with Yvonne. Oh, I'm going to butcher her. Francisco. I don't want to butcher her.
That wasn't that hard.
But Yvonne will be... No, I forgot what it was.
Smith.
Yvonne Francisco from Lowell Corazon Latino, Lowell's Latin Heart. She's been writing some features for us. But check it out on Inside Lowell.com. She wrote a great feature about a woman who actually crossed the border illegally, and says if she had to do it over again, she would absolutely not do it again because she came to America and it wasn't what was pitched to her. The poor woman was scammed badly.
Well, she should blame George Soros for that pitch, right?
If you read the story,
okay, I will.
It also involved a family member.
Oh, yeah.
Doing her dirty. So, but it gives you a little indication.
That's on the website?
Yeah, it's on InsideLowell.com. We published it last week. A lot of good stuff. Inside Lowell. Stay tuned. Asa Stutz, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to all of you for joining us as well. Inside Lowell, as we like to say, if Lowell is your home, this is your place. Until next time, be safe, everybody.